I'm the person that has watched all these videos. I've I've seen the whole like 20-minute thing of, how you scale the ecom manager. I've watched everyone, and I thought that isn't gonna be me. I bet you this just happens
Mm.
to the 1% of people
Mm.
on like who enter this program, and it's me.
Yeah.
So if I can say that to anybody else, if you think this isn't going to be you, it's going to be you. Just put the work in, add your je ne sais quoi, and it will be you. I promise. Like, yeah, 100 times over. I'm literally beaming now because I still like I'm in disbelief, but total belief as well.
Mm.
That yeah, God, I nearly feel like crying. It's very, yeah. When I was like creating ads and creating videos and all these things, I was like, I love doing this. Before I was like, oh God, well, I don't know if this will work. And I was
Yeah.
overthinking everything. And I think once that came out and I had all the wonderful mindset shift, everything, it literally just opened everything up for me. I was like, cool, I'm gonna be myself, but use all the background that I learnt on this program to understand this whole side, like the whole psychology of it. And that's really where it clicked for me. And by the time I was ready to actually launch my ads, they just flew. And I didn't even get to vertical scaling. I've had to scale back everything because now it's gone out of control. I literally out of control. I've even started to put pre-orders on, and there was one email that I sent out to all my database, and I didn't put any links to my website in the hope that I was like, I just don't need anyone to buy now. But here is the facts of when you're going to get your thing. And this is, I said, this it's wonderful. My business is doing so well now. But so many people replied saying you don't have a link to your website and no one's going to buy. And then I saw literally sales like peaked that day. I was like, people they're
Yeah.
vultures. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy to say. I watched so many of these video testimonials and I was like, I can't imagine myself ever getting to like 30K. I was like, all I wanted was 10K a month because that's how
Mm.
much chocolate I could produce in a month. And now, I mean, the last 30 days it's been 30K. And that's without even doing the vertical scaling. That's with not increasing my
Yeah.
spend. I've retreated on my ads. So people like they see it and I get so many messages saying, I love everything that you're about. I love that you get it from your family farm. It's just how I've managed to communicate the message from everything that I've learned in this program. I remember I was like, I'm not gonna look at this ad manager, I'm not gonna look at anything. And I think I opened up my phone and there was about like 6 orders, of which I never get like and that was that same day. And I was like, how the hell is this working so fast? I thought that people had to like watch it and think, maybe it's quite nice, but I'll watch it again over the next couple of weeks and it will maybe start working in 3 weeks. But it was quite instantaneous. Like the next day I was like, oh my God, I like this actually really does work. And I think after I had my first judgment day after 5 days, and I was like, I I genuinely can't believe the numbers that I'm seeing with this. And then I was like, oh, maybe that's just a one-off. But when I did the micro variations and launched those, they all flew. And once I did the horizontal scaling, I was like, that those probably won't work. They're different hooks, and they all bloody worked. And they all worked better than the first one. And I was like, so I've minimized, and I literally now spend like £30 a day, but I have to minimize even more because it has gone out of control. I can't make chocolate fast enough.
Mm.
It's um it's crazy. I didn't realize how much people would love it. And I thought it'd be a
Mm.
con. I'd be conning them because they'd receive the
Mm.
chocolate and they'd be like, oh, this is too expensive. This is everything. They're
Yeah.
like, this is genuinely the best chocolate that I have ever tried, and I can't go back to anything else. I feel like I live in a different universe. I'm like, how am I getting so many wonderful messages, like people just
Mm.
like either emailing or messaging me on Instagram saying, even people saying, I don't ever buy chocolate, especially not expensive chocolate that I've been advertised to. at all. But I was like, loved your story, loved everything about you.
mm,
And I just, took a punt, and genuinely, I will continue buying your chocolate because it's the best I've ever tried. People are like, I've never ever gifted myself chocolate before. I don't even get it in the supermarket. And it's crazy. I thought it was all chocolate lovers that I would be targeting, and
mm.
no, it's people out of it. Weirdly, of the audiences I did, the only one that didn't work was the chocolate, but as well was a chocolate
There you go.
audience. Um, but yeah, it honestly feels like I really have to pinch myself every time I get one of those messages. I was waking up every day and I'm like, will I ever get a sale? Like, so I have a chocolate business, and all the cocoa comes from my family farm. Had a wonderful story, had a wonderful product. I didn't know how to get it out into the ether, and I think that was my biggest problem is communication and knowing how to just put it in front of people that I didn't know. And so I started actually making the proper chocolate in a factory in 2023. So it's actually been going for 2 years properly now. Before I just did test batches and everything from my own kitchen. And I was like, this is really great that I've got this great product, but how I can do all these marketing activities. I've done a course that said, oh, you can do just post on LinkedIn every day for a year and you'll get sales. And like I feel like that was so ambiguous. And I went to like in-person workshops for marketing, and I just felt like everything was just a stab in the dark. And I just was frustrated. And I think actually it was actually after I had my son and I was coming back from, my very short maternity leave. And I was like, I just don't want to be a busy fool. And I was like, I want all the time that I have away from him to be worth something. At this point, I had got hired people in my factory because I was basically doing 10-hour days in my factory and not any marketing. So I was like, right, let me hire people in the factory. That will give me the sort of courage to actually properly put, my time into marketing and growing it.
Mm,
But then when I came to actually like, okay, you have the time for marketing, I was like, okay, so maybe I'll do an Instagram post today, and maybe that might get one or two sales, or like, oh, maybe I'll send out an email today, and maybe that will get, 12 sales, over the next couple days. And I felt like everything was just such short-term wins, and I was putting an extreme amount of effort for something that was like really short term and then just, died. And I was like, is marketing just like this? Is this what every business is going through? Is the only businesses that are successful, are they just lucky? Um,
mm,
and I was like, there must be another way that people have actually, this again, this like sort of straightforward line. And I remember saying this on the call. I was like, will you make sure that this is a straightforward line, step by step, to get me to the promised land? Um, and yeah, I that's what I felt. I was a busy fool doing SEO, doing a random Instagram post, trying to do something on LinkedIn, like reaching out to an influencer who would never reply to me. Like I wouldn't even
mm,
know how to work with them anyway. And I was like, this is just not gonna go anywhere. I'm just gonna continue coasting along, and my whole business is essentially just an expensive hobby that I can't even pay myself for. And I was like, and all the optics look good. They're like, oh, you have this wonderful chocolate from your family farm, all these things. And I was like, and the financial background of it was abysmal. And
mm.
yeah, I was so frustrated. I think I signed up to a discovery call when I started the chocolate factory. I saw as a reminder on my phone, and for some reason I didn't do it, and it came up again, and I was like, you know what? I think this is the time. I like,
Mm,
let me just book a discovery call and see what happens. And I did it. I think it was early in May this year, and I just really had this gut feeling, and I was like, I just want a straightforward line to get me like step by step to get me to a place where I can predict my sales.
mm,
And because everything else I was doing, I was like, oh, let me do a bit of SEO for 2 hours today. Let me do maybe try like really get my LinkedIn all together. And I was like, this is going nowhere fast. And yeah, I just wanted really simple, step by step. This is the scientific formula of how we get from A to B. And so you can grow your business. And yeah, that is essentially what happened. And I have no regrets whatsoever. It was
Mm.
insane. My whole business essentially survived on being featured in the press and having these huge booms and then big busts. Um, And I just remember sitting there and thinking, if I don't do this, then I go back to plan A, which was crap, which was just, I'm just gonna coast along. And I was like, you know what? I am gonna do this for myself. I'm gonna put all I am into it and I'm gonna make it work because I felt like every other course that I was promised before this, they're like, oh, you get this for only like, 79 quid and you'll go from zero to, six-figure brand or whatever. All these things, you just have to do something really simple. But it wasn't. It was so ambiguous. And I did ask him, I was like, is this, am I going to be guided step by step? And so I like really slowly, so I get to know
Mm.
to understand everything and what's involved. In it, and I think that gave me the confidence. And I think also I was like, the straightforward line, that's all I need. I don't want this ambiguous crap. And I
Mhm.
was so done with it that I was like, you know what, this is proven. And I watched all these sort of video testimonials before I watched the long video, and I had been watching it actually for years, on and off weirdly, because
Mhm.
I love seeing your ads poke up and they still come up again, and I'm like, I still love watching this. um and and yeah, and I think it was that. I was like, I'm ready for this. It is the summer. I'm gonna do all my work now. We were in a like a sort of in between place. We were living with my in-laws for like 4 months, and I was like, you know what? I already feel uncomfortable. I'm gonna make myself even more uncomfortable and just go full whammy with this and make it happen, because I
Mm.
was like, that is my only option right now, is to make it happen. And yeah, at first I had, and I feel like probably a lot of people feel this, they're like, oh my God, there's these people that really do go from like £1,000 a month to like, £100,000. I was like, that's never gonna be me. And I
Mm.
felt like nearly quite intimidated. And I was like, God, these people are really involved in this community. And I was like, I
Mm.
never get involved in any of like when someone puts a Facebook page and like, oh, get involved in the community because you're part of this now. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna bloody do it and see what happens. And you know what? I think it's in the involvement in the community. And I was like, I'm gonna keep showing up to these Q&As, ask the questions that I'm so scared to ask, and actually I think when the community, especially when I did my first round of very crappy ads, and I knew they were because I was making those ads out of fear and I stupidly did not do the mindset module.
Mm.
I put those out there and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna just put it all out there. And I got, the feedback that I really needed to hear. I went and I had this weekend and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna listen to the mindset modules as I go to bed. And I was like, I literally woke up the next morning. I was like, that has changed everything for me. Because
Mm.
I went into the course nearly with like so much fear. I was like, I put so much pressure on myself to make it work, that
Mm.
once I released all of that and I saw the whole program as this wonderful opportunity to grow, that's when it released everything for me. And I was like, okay, I'm doing all the work, but also I need to be me as well. And I need to add my je ne sais quoi into
Mm.
this. Like, it's like everything. It's like going to school and following the work and doing everything. But if you're doing creative writing, and this is very similar to doing like a creative writing course in a way, it's like
Mm.
you need to be you as well. And
Mm.
I think that was the thing that was really missing for me, because I didn't realize the story that I was telling myself was that my family, they have, my parents have their own business. They're very successful at it. My sisters have joined. They're all very successful, and I just always thought it ends with me. I'm like the youngest child who sort of dilly-dallies, goes from like, job to job to just try work things out, that, is this sort of hippie child that it's just not going to work out for. And she'll do all these things, and, her family will help and invest, but nothing will come out for it. And I think I just told myself I didn't deserve any more than what I was getting. And then I think when I realized, I was like, I think there was one point on the mindset module where it says your potential isn't fixed. And I
mm,
think I was making my potential fixed. I was stopping myself from that.
mm,
And I think it was literally that sentence. I was like, oh my God, I can literally do anything.
mm,
I can make this work. And when I would like just stop myself at the kitchen sink, and I was like, Bobbie, you don't even have to worry. It was before I created my ad. I was like, this
mm,
is gonna work. And I think that was the biggest thing that happened for me. I was like,
mm,
I am worth going beyond even 10K a month. My maximum goal was 10K, and I couldn't imagine a world beyond it. And I'm living in it now.
mm,
Um, which is, obscene, but I really think I go back to that, and I do remind myself of it, and I'm like, my potential isn't fixed. I can make this work. Um,
mm,
so yeah, that was the biggest thing for me above everything else. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go all in on this. And I
mm,
saw that it was such an active community, and people were really responding to people with such intention, and like,
mm,
it wasn't any sort of loss to them. It was really, I was like, oh my God, this is I'm gonna do this. All the other courses were just really flimsy and sort of half-hearted. This one was like, for this, you go all in. And
mm,
everyone else that you ended up speaking to was so motivated. And to be in a community of people that are so motivated
mm,
and really energized by their businesses, oh my God, it just, I
yeah.
absolutely love it. I still speak to people. Now, the time that I have with my son is full, he has my full attention. Before, I used to have this worry at the
Mm,
back of my mind, like, again, I'm being a busy fool. I don't even know if this business will work. Everything I am doing, I just feel like it just wasn't for anything, and I was just, yeah, sort of being run of the mill. I feel now that I have a purpose, and like to have the financial like numbers that work for my business, that is everything, and it gives me the, like, I'm now a confident businesswoman. Before, I was a very insecure chocolate maker. And like every
mm,
time I spent with my son, I was like, I'm so sorry I had time away from you, because I was trying to make money, but I couldn't. And I like everything I was putting in to my time away from you just felt like nearly for nothing. And so
mm,
now I really like enjoy my time with him. Now I just have this like confidence that I never had before, and I was like, I know how to run a business. I'm a businesswoman before. Like I
mm,
never would have told myself I'm a businesswoman, and now
mm,
I can say that, and I feel like it's made everything better. It's made all my time away from my work like amazing, and I feel like people are always worrying about what's next, and I feel like I'm now just living in it and just satiating in the place that I'm at now. And of course, I have my biggest problem is production and working out how to double my production. But I'm like, I'm going to just take that day by day and not
mm,
worry about the future as much as I used to.
mm,
So yeah, it's made my life. I just bloody love my life. For anyone who feels like they're really on the fence about this, it is it it's the best investment I ever made in myself. And I think Daryl said this before, it's like, the cost of a really nice holiday. And for this, I'm a changed person. I'm a better person. This is the best investment I've like it's probably parallel to what it is to go to like an English university. I didn't get much out of that one. It's a very expensive way to get friends. For
Yeah.
this, this has changed me as a person. It's made my life so much better. It's made me like the most confident I've ever been. And yeah, I feel like this course is invaluable for that. So that is what I will leave that with.